Good morning. It's time for Two Guys on Sports. I'm Larry Hazer.
I'm Dick Olson. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning, Dick. And, here we go into a new year.
Yeah. But, before we had the big 23 highlights show last week, but our best game of the year came after that show.
Yeah, it came that Friday night, last Friday night, the big 4 overtime game with Neillsville and Auburndale in boys basketball.
It's something I've never seen, Larry, and I know you said you did a 5 overtime once, but the sad thing was that one of the teams had to go home a loser.
Yeah.
Because both teams played their hearts out. It was their second game 2 nights in a row, and those kids had to have some dead legs by the end of the night. So
Indeed. But what a game. And, despite the loss for Neillsville, I think they kind of got a good gauge as to where they've come so far this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, you look what they've become since the first game, since Alma Center Lincoln to the game against Auburndale, and it's just a 360, Larry. The offense is now working very good. They're finding people, and it seems like everybody's roles are defined much better now too. So.
Yeah, and we take a look at the divisions as far as the WisSports.net coaches poll, and we don't see Auburndale in that poll, but
they got to be knocking
enough
on the door.
They got to be, yeah. But there are some area teams that are in the poll. We'll start in Division 1, where De Pere is the top team there, no surprise. Stevens Point ranked 5th. They're undefeated at 11-0.
Yeah, one of their best seasons since their big run a few years ago.
Yeah. And then we got Wisconsin Lutheran. They are ranked number 1 in Division 2. In Division 3, it's St. Thomas More as the top team there. Then you go to Division 4, where it's Mineral Point, and then Marathon is ranked 2nd in the state.
And Marathon handing on to that, and they went down to the Rick Majerus tournament, won a couple games down there. So their stock goes up, and so does Grant Warren's stock.
Right.
I think.
Big time.
Yeah.
Solon Springs, number 1 in Division 5. Columbus Catholic is ranked 2nd in Division 5.
Held on to that, even though they took a loss down at the Rick Majerus shootout. So
that's the boys' side. We go to the girls' side, and in Division 1, it is Verona as the top team there. In Division 2, Pewaukee is the top team. Division 3 has Waupun on top. Altoona is ranked 9th. Elk Mound ranks 6th for the girls. Aquinas down a little bit this year. They're ranked 7th.
7th, yeah.
They're way up there.
Not a position, but
up a division this year, though.
That's true. Neillsville played Altoona last year in a very good game over there, and it seemed to me they had some real tall girls, and they were all juniors coming back.
Yeah.
Neillsville did win that game, but Altoona gave them a really good game that night. So.
Laconia, number 1 in Division 4. McDonald Central, another team that moved up a division this year. They're ranked 2nd in Division 4.
Fall Creek took a big jump this week.
They're up to number 5.
They were 9th, and then they jumped up to 5th.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they had for a win or whatever, but they really jumped up there. And so
Neillsville tied for 10th again this week with their 9-2 record.
Yeah, and just doesn't seem like it's hard. It's going to be hard to move up from that position with the way there's. Of course, you got a game with Assumption coming up next week. A win there might knock you up some, but with the schedule in the Clover Belt East, it doesn't really bode well for moving up in the ranks. But the rankings are just talking.
Right.
So.
Yep. Division 5. You talked about Assumption. They are ranked number 1 in Division 5. No other area teams in the rankings for Division 5. Yeah. But there are some interesting games coming up this week in boys and girls basketball in the Clover Belt Conference.
Big one Friday night here. You've got Neillsville and Owen with you. I believe they're both 3-1
in the Clover Belt,
and both lurking behind Colby at Columbus, and it's going to be big. And then the week after, you've got Colby in here. So 2 really huge games right now in the conference coming up for the Warriors.
And by the way, Colby is at Columbus Catholic tomorrow night.
Yeah, talk about a big game. Yeah,
both those teams are 4-0 in the Eastern Clover Belt.
So that'll be interesting. So big night here for positioning in the Clover Belt East. So.
And tonight. The big game in the Western Clover Belt has Fall Creek at McDonald Central.
Yep, there's your number 2 and number 5 ranked teams right there in Division 4. So
both are 5-0 in the Western Clover Belt, and they go at it tonight over at McDonald. And Colby is into Neillsville tonight. And speaking of Colby, we had a chance to hear from Colby girls head coach Terry Schmitt back late last year. It's hard to say that late last year, but back late last year we had that coaches show. 92.3 FM WOSQ, and Terry Schmitt, girls coach at Colby, was a part of that show, and he had a conversation with myself and Gene Delicio.
Well, tell us about the steps you took to prepare for this group coming in for you this season.
I lost some players this year, and I just kind of I got, 3 returning varsity players, Angelique Hernandez, Lexi Vanderhoof, they both, and Harrison Schmitt. All 3 of them have been playing since they were freshmen. I got another junior coming in, Lily Brzezinski. She's got some good height to her. She started playing at the end of the year. Dakota Haper is a junior. She been playing varsity since last year. She played varsity all year last year. And then another junior, Lucia Perez. She just started playing varsity this year. In 8th grade, she blew her knee out, and so she missed her whole at the end of her 8th grade year and missed her whole freshman year. So she actually really took huge strides in a year, getting back into basketball. Then I got 3 seniors, Sydney Meyer, out there just hustling and playing with all her heart, Lily Froby, and then Olivia Krause played some varsity last year, and she's there yet. And then I got some sophomores, like Bryn Polifka is going to be starting this year. Great shooter. She's almost made it so that I cannot put her on the floor, so she's really stepped up in a year. And then I got a couple there floating, Leah Hamas and Brez Boyer, and so that's basically what we got going on this year for our team.
How about some things that you feel this crew can do pretty well for you this year?
I think defensively, they're tenacious. We're running a few different zone half-court press defenses, and we're getting on them right away when they cross half court. Full court, they can press anywhere they want to. We're good at running the floor offensively. They're figuring things out. They're offensively, half court, they're starting to get more patience. They're starting to see the floor better. It's the 3 with the most experience, they've taken huge strides over the last year. And they're leading, and they're just so together as a team. It's really wonderful to go in that gym every day and coach them. It's just enjoyable.
You mentioned lots of players there when we went through your roster. It sounds like your numbers are in pretty good shape.
Actually, we just got a freshman and a JV team, or not freshman team. We got a varsity and JV team, but I do have 23 girls that went out. So we have really good numbers. I got a lot of freshmen, really talented freshmen that are playing right now, and our numbers do look really good. It's good to see these girls. They're excited about basketball. They're willing to learn. Our gym is, I don't know how you explain it, but it's loud. They're always cheering each other on during practice. One of my ADs walked by one day, he's like, "Did you have music on?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I couldn't hear it between the girls cheering each other on through the whole thing." It's just been a great pleasure this year to coach these girls. They just want to be with each other. They enjoy each other. I got juniors and seniors doing stuff afterwards with freshmen. They're taking them to basketball games, the boys' basketball games, going out for ice cream, going shopping. That's how close they've all gotten in the last few weeks. They just really enjoy being with each other. It's a great thing to have.
Can you talk about some of those older players, some of those seniors, and the leadership they bring to your ball club this year?
The seniors, that they haven't had a whole lot of varsity experience. We went through, a few years ago, when I first started, I had 7 seniors, and they all graduated. After that, I had 2 players on each class. That's why this freshman class the junior class had to play when they were freshmen. But now the classes are a lot of classes, and the juniors have really stepped up to seniors and making sure everybody is involved. They're all, it's just been one of them things this year. It's just you just know when you get a special group that loves each other and wants to do things for each other. It just makes it fun.
You and I talked a couple of years ago when you took the job for the first time about that transition that you had to make from coaching the lower levels to coaching varsity basketball. Now looking back for a few years, how has that transition been for you?
It actually has been really good. It's been humbling at times. I changed a lot of things that we did before. We're more up-tempo on a lot of our offense and defense. But it's been very well accepted. I realized I have to have patience, and you have to take deep breaths once in a while. But I love coaching girls. I've coached girls and boys, and girls, they're willing to learn. They want to. If you're honest with them, and they're always willing to listen to what you got to say. Sometimes I've always been real boys. They already know, and they really don't always want to learn because they already know. But the girls are very accepting and very good at what we want to do and learn.
Coach, You mentioned kind of a mixed bag of upperclassmen and lowerclassmen. How challenge is that for a coach to mesh those girls?
Actually, it hasn't been that much. I mean, they all know each other really well from other sports. It's kind of shocking. It hasn't been that much of a challenge meshing them. It's been really a good experience with it.
Because I know sometimes the upperclassmen don't like to get the underclassmen in there.
And I've had that in the past. This year I don't. This year it's really good to see how putting each other, helping. I've seen juniors and seniors helping freshmen. And when that first week we're all together, helping with drills. Hey, this is where you go. This is what we do. And building them along and cheering them along when they do good things. So it's been a really good experience this year.
Yeah, because I know sometimes they don't like to accept the underclassmen.
No, they don't. But this year it's been really good. I think they all realize that they need the younger ones. If they want to get somewhere, they need the younger ones to be there with them.
Cloverbelt Conference, how do you see that East?
Well, this is very simple. It's Neillsville on top. I'm not quite sure what's in the water over in Neillsville. I mean, they lost some really good players last year, but he brought in 2 freshmen, or maybe more than that, but I know 2 freshmen are probably better than the ones that he lost last year. I mean, they're amazing. John does an awesome job over there. I think the whole Cloverbelt Conference goal is to be what they are. The rest, I think we're all in the mix. Last year, we were 5 wins away from close wins. We lost 2 to Columbus in the last second. We lost to Gilman by 3 in one game. If we won 5 games, we were in second place. So we were that close. It was really close games. And so I don't think we're far from that. But at any moment we could, it's just loyal. Loyal's always fundamentally strong. I mean, they just don't make mistakes. Gilman's the same way. Coach Weir's always got them right there. They're always really well. I've seen some of the games from Columbus, and they look really good too. Haven't seen anybody else, but I think we're all going to be competing for that, 2, 3, 4. Who ends up in there is going to be toss a card out there, I guess.
So what's going to be the keys for you guys to be that?
Us, I can tell you right now, it's limiting the turnovers. We played Abbotsford. We didn't even give ourselves a chance. We turned the ball over 47% of the time. So you can't turn the ball over that much. And we got all rebounded like crazy. But then we turned around we started taking care of the ball. So if we can take care of the ball on offense and get some rebounds, we'll be in there. Because defensively, I think we can play with almost anybody. And last year, we went to Neillsville, and we went to halftime. We were up by 6. We come out and we turned the ball over 3 times in a row, and the girls' heads were out of it, and we lost by 20. But there ain't many teams that can go into Neillsville all last year and be up by 6 at halftime. We played the perfect game the first half, so I know that's what they got in them. If they play the perfect half, they don't turn over the ball, they play very aggressive deep, we can beat anybody. But I think now are mentally getting into that where they're getting confidence and mistakes. They're starting to let mistakes. You make a mistake, let it go, figure it out, move on to the next one. We might not have been that way last year. We weren't able to just let a mistake go, and I think we're starting to learn to do that now.
Coach, how about your staff for this year?
I have a new JV coach, Cass Huber. She came in this year teaching Colby. So it's her and me, and this is what we got. She's been doing really good. My assistant last year, Laura Demper, she had a baby last year, so she's decided to focus on the family.
So that's Colby girls head coach Terry Schmitt, and again, Neillsville and Colby tonight. 92.7 WPKG, 7:15 is game time for that one tonight.
And then the Warriors on Monday, they go to Assumption. And then they travel to Spencer on Tuesday next week. Yeah. So back-to-back games for them, something they haven't done this year.
Right.
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a hard-fought game down at Assumption, and then to come back against the Spencer team on Tuesday night, that could be a little tough. So test their depth.
You bet. So we head into the new year here, but let's look back a little bit for at least wrestling, where they had the holiday wrestling tournament and the big one over at River Falls.
Yeah, the Northern Badger Classic, and there's 46 teams up there. Neillsville overall had 105 points. Niels Greenwood Loyal, excuse me. 105 points. So they finished 21st out of 46 teams overall. They were 8th in Division II out of 16 teams. But, this kind of fell kind of right where I thought it would, Larry. You got your 3 returning starters, basically. In Hudson Sebesto Opel, he finished 3rd at 150. Jake Luchterhahn, 7th at 165. Dane Luchterhahn, 7th at 175. But then Ridge Tibbett, nice tournament there, 11th at 113 for the sophomore. So, but one champion from the area this year, which is a little light for this area.
Yeah,
but,
right.
Blake Underwood from Marathon, who's a terrific wrestler. It was a champion at 106 pounds. But Menominee was the overall team champion for the second year in a row. Regis Altoona, 7th in D1, Marathon 3rd in D2. Abby Colby, very strong team this year. They were led by Tanner Halupka, who missed last year with a knee injury that he suffered in the first football game of the year against Niels.
That's
so
right.
he missed, and so he's back. He finished 2nd at 157 pounds. And then Cadott, who's a little down this year, they finished 7th in D2, and then Edgar was 5th in D3. So tonight, NGL is traveling up to Stanley Boyd for a triangular with Bloomer Colfax and Stanley Boyd. And then Saturday, they're at the Blue Jay Invitational in Merrill.
Okay.
But then we also had the bi-state, too,
Yes,
Larry, and
that was a big one.
That was 72 teams. Marshfield, the Marshfield Tigers,
Yes.
2nd in D1, 191 pounds. Hastings, Minnesota was 1st with 205. Stanley Boyd, 16th in D2. Stratford, nice performance there, 4th in D3. Auburndale, 8th in D3. So one area champion, and this kid is a stud, Caleb Dene from Marshfield. He is only a junior, and he's ranked in the country.
Oh, wow.
So, but he defeated Cade Rule of Mineral Point 17-3. Caleb is now 26-0 on the season. So, Owen Griesbach from Marshfield, 2nd at 175 pounds. Carter Leak from Stratford, 3rd at 175. And then Colton Weiler, the fine junior from Auburndale, 2nd at 144. So good local performance down there.
And down there, they got teams from
Minnesota, and I believe there's tipping into Iowa too.
Oh,
now.
okay,
So,
yeah. So that's a
but
little.
they get some of the best from Minnesota there, definitely. So.
Now you mentioned Menominee winning that up there.
Yeah.
Where are they when the end of the season? I don't really recall them guys.
Yeah, Hudson took them down in the team. But,
okay.
But they do well in that conference up there. But Hudson has been strong up there, and then you get into the sectional. They get in the same sectional with Marshfield too.
Okay.
And Marshfield had a strong team.
Right.
This might be one of Menominee's better teams, though. They have very strong at the lower weights. They have the Casey brothers, and then an Ori boy, very strong at those first 3 weights. The Casey boys both placed at state last year, so they're very strong kids.
Yeah, you mentioned Menominee. It's just not a team I really think of for wrestling.
Rylan Lubeck, who comes out of the Wisconsin Rapids program, he wrestled under Louis Bennett's, and then he wrestled for Madison, University of Wisconsin-Madison. Took over that program about 3-4 years ago and really resurrected it. 10-15 years ago, very strong program when the Peizigs, who were originally from Colby, ran the program up there.
Okay.
Very strong program, and then it went in the tank for a while. Sometimes they do.
Right.
But Rylan Lubeck took over about 3-4 years ago, and he's really resurrected that program nicely. So they are contenders.
All right. Okay. So Menominee, a team you don't really think about when you think about wrestling.
Not wrestling. That's
usually
football.
football. Yes, Menominee is football.
But
yes.
they always say if you got good football, you should be able to have some good wrestlers too. So.
All right, boys and girls hockey. Black River Falls Co-op teams. Black River Falls Co-op girls playing last night and earlier this week, and they'll get back into it in the swing of things.
They got St. Croix Valley coming into the Milt tonight.
Okay,
and
all right.
then at Stoughton on Saturday. They're 8-5 on the season, so having a good year. And then the boys are 8-6 on the season. They don't have a matchup till Tuesday at the Milt against Baldwin Woodville.
Yeah, I did look at the girls' schedule, and they had a lot of games coming out of the break.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they
3 games
Here,
coming right out of the
holiday.
holiday.
Boys don't have nothing until next Tuesday.
Yeah,
so.
interesting. All right, where are they now? Let's get into that here before we go on.
Larry, I'm going up to Colby and talk about Ted Kedrowski. Ted is a 1993 graduate of Colby High School. Ted was a 3-year letter winner on the Hornet football team. His sophomore year, the Hornets were 3-6, and Ted was a starter at defensive end and had 47 tackles that year. His junior year, the Hornets were 7-4, qualifying for the WI Division IV playoffs, where they lost in Level 2 to West Salem. Ted started at tight end that year, caught 12 passes for 154 yards and 1 touchdown, and on defense, he had 78 tackles and 2 fumble recoveries, and was a second-team All-Conference choice in the Clover Belt Large School Conference. His senior year, the Hornets were 4-5, and Ted caught 18 passes for 215 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then on defense, he had 102 tackles, 1 pass interception, and 1 fumble recovery. He was first-team All-Conference on defense in the Large Clover Belt, and honorable mention on offense. In the winter, Ted was a 2-year letter winner on the Colby basketball team. His junior year, the Hornets were 11-12 on the season. Ted averaged 8 points and 5 rebounds per game. His senior year, the Hornets were 15-9 that year, losing the eventual state D3 state champion Auburndale in the regional finals, 75-56. Ted averaged 12 points and 7 rebounds per game that year and was second-team All-Conference in the Eastern Clover Belt. After graduation, Ted enrolled at UW Eau Claire and joined the Blue Gold football team. His freshman year, the Blue Golds were 2-8 on the season. Ted was a backup on the defensive line and played special teams and had 5 tackles on the season. His sophomore year, the Blue Golds were 1-9 on the season. Ted again was a backup on defensive line and played special teams and had 8 tackles on the season. His junior year, the Blue Golds were 5-5 on the season. John was a starter at defensive end, or Ted, was a starter for the Blue Golds that year at defensive end. He had 32 tackles with 5 for loss and 2 sacks on the season. His senior year, the Blue Golds were 7-3 on the season. Ted was a starter at defensive end and had 38 tackles on the season with 7 tackles for losses and 1 sack on the season. Ted graduated from UW Eau Claire in 1998 with a bachelor's degree in business management and then earned his master's degree in business management from UW Eau Claire in 1999. For much of his working career, he was an executive with Kimberly Clark Papers in Kimberly, Wisconsin. Today, Ted is a vice president for Accenture, and Accenture is a consulting company that works for companies trying to grow their workforces and uses Accenture to help find the right people to fill these positions. Ted is based in St. Petersburg, Florida, and he and his wife Julia and their family reside in St. Petersburg area. So, Ted Karowski.
Is he a big guy?
Yeah, he's about 6'1", 220.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah. Had a twin brother also, John. So,
Okay, all right. They do that up there in Colby a few times, don't they?
I said, all the times we've covered Colby, that might have been one of the poor times of Colby football, though.
All right.
In the early 90s there, they had 1 playoff appearance in about 5-6 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's not Colby.
Yeah.
That's not Colby football.
Probably the last time it happened.
Yeah,
too.
right. Yeah. All right. Well, the college football season wrapping up here, but we had some good games.
You got to say the committee probably got it right.
I think they did.
They if not, their prayers were answered with 2 great games.
Right. Yeah. Even if, but boy, I tell you, look at that. What was it? The Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
Where Georgia took it to Florida State.
Yeah, Florida State basically mailed it in.
Yeah.
And Georgia probably took out all their fury on them. So
yeah.
But and you see that down the line. Ohio State didn't seem like they really cared if they were in a bowl game or not.
No, there was a few of them like that.
And I kind of thought that was going to be LSU at the beginning of the Badger game too. The Badgers jumped out to
them.
I give LSU credit; they came back nicely. But
yes, they did.
But the Michigan over Alabama in overtime, 27-20. What a great game that was! And Alabama had a chance to tie it in the overtime there, but kind of an interesting play call there at the end. But that's not my call.
That's Saban.
Yeah. And then Washington downs Texas 37-31, and Texas stopped on a 4th down pass in the end zone with 1 second left. So you can't beat that. It was good watching football that day. So.
Yeah, and now you got Washington and Michigan in the national title game on Monday night in Houston. What do you think?
Boy, I'll tell you what. Michigan is tough, but I don't know if they've seen a passing attack quite like Washington's.
Right.
That's a pretty good group of receivers, and Penix is pretty good, but you got to like the. I thought Alabama was going to take out Michigan too, but Michigan just seems to have a survival this year. So, Yeah, that could go right down to the end. I'm going to say Michigan takes them by.
I haven't
field
seen a
goal.
line. I didn't look to see what a line
I think
was
Michigan's
yet.
going to win. I think it's going to be one score or less. So,
Right,
you know,
right.
So
So that's coverage begins at 6:30 on Monday night on ESPN for that college football playoff national championship.
Yep.
And you know, I don't think it would have mattered which teams got in. I think, like you said, I think they got it right.
Yeah, I think
with
they
the
did
4.
too. Yeah, what would Florida State done in there? That would have been poor. You know,
Yep.
I think Georgia would have been a fine representative, even Oregon, but not. I think those. I think there were 6 teams that were deserving to be in those 4 spots, and I still think the committee got it right. So
So it should be a good one.
yeah, and I think I think they got what they wanted. They got the number 1 and number 2 seeds in the championship game.
There you go. Yeah.
You know, so I see their wish list is very much fulfilled. I think so.
Couldn't have got any better than
No,
that.
right.
Couldn't have got any better than that. All right, and the Packers, here they go.
Yeah, I said here we
2
go
years in a
again.
row.
2 years in a row. They got a chance to, it's in their hands at home. Let's hope it didn't happen like last year, but I think it's a different Packer team this year. I think it's a young, hungry team.
And they're not going against a team like the Lions that was up and coming.
Right, yeah, and the Lions wanted to prove a point.
Right.
Yeah. The Bears are coming. They're playing well, but I just think this is the Packers' chance. And I think they showed a lot on Sunday night against the Vikings. Now the Vikings, of course, having quarterback problems right now, but the wide receiver. I thought the wide receivers would still hurt them, but the wide receivers did not hurt them. But they really missed T.J. Hawkinson.
Oh yeah.
He's kind of a savior right there in the middle of the field for any quarterback, because if you're double teaming on the outside, he's going to be open sometime on the inside. And of course, when you don't have that, they couldn't run the ball either.
No. Yeah, I thought it would be a little closer game, but
yeah, I did too. But you got to like the way the offense played. The defense played much better too. Defense played much more aggressive.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Well, now here it is. So you win, you get in against the Bears. 3:25 Sunday on CBS and 107.5
right
The Rock.
now, if you win the game, you probably could be heading to Dallas.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Because Dallas plays at Washington, and if they win, they've got the East, because just Eagles have just unexplainably went in the tank here.
Yeah. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I don't know. I said, well, how could you had a must win? You were in charge of the East, and you lose a home game to Arizona.
I don't
get that one.
That one is way beyond my.
So it's crazy, but there's a lot of things to be settled yet, Larry, but not a lot. The big game is Sunday night. Miami at Buffalo. Winner wins the East, but Miami has
Actually, it's Buffalo at Miami.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's those 2 teams.
Okay. But Miami has clinched a playoff spot, but Buffalo has not.
No.
So if Buffalo loses, they could be on the outside.
Right.
Very much so, because you've got Houston and Pittsburgh just waiting on the out, and Pittsburgh is playing very well right now. So
and they're at Baltimore, and I don't know what Baltimore is going to do. They've clinched that number 1 seed.
I'm guessing. I've heard this week already that they're thinking of sitting Lamar Jackson.
Oh, okay.
And if that's the case, that really changes things.
Yeah.
So.
And Houston at Indianapolis Saturday night is a big one too.
Yeah.
For the AFC South.
Yeah, Indy. Well, yeah, and then Indy right now sits in the 7th position.
Right.
And Houston is in the 8th, so that could be a flip flop right there.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure who Jacksonville played. Jacksonville must have.
Jacksonville. Let me see. They are at Tennessee.
Tennessee. So Jacksonville not playing all that great, and I don't know if they'll have Trevor Lawrence either. So
right.
So.
Yeah, I did hear Cleveland's not playing Joe Flacco.
Right, and it's on it. Cleveland is in that 5th spot. They're not going up, down, anywhere. The bottom line is they're going to be going to number 4 seed on the next week. So
San Francisco is not playing McCaffrey.
No, I don't blame them. It'll be interesting what.
And the Rams have already clinched.
Yeah,
and so is San Francisco.
Minnesota at Detroit. Now Detroit still has a chance to move up. Because they could. Up over Dallas,
Sure. Yeah.
And but we'll see. And Dallas, same thing there. Dallas has a championship on Eastern Championship online, so they will be full force.
You would think. Yeah.
So,
all the games are on Sunday except 2 on Saturday.
Saturday night. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Otherwise, the rest of them are
I
Sunday.
believe both those are on ESPN. I think.
Yes.
ESPN, ABC.
ABC. Yep. They
so,
3:30 and 7:15.
Trying to get the NFL network out of here now. So.
Yeah, they're all going to be on either CBS, Fox, or ESPN or ABC
but,
this weekend.
Jordan Love, Larry,
Yeah.
fourth quarterback in Packer history to throw for 30 touchdowns in a season.
And he got Offensive Player of the Week this
Yes,
week.
he did. So he
Good
he
for
just
him.
looks totally in control out there. So, but,
Boy, all the people that were naysayers in the beginning, where
Yeah.
are they now?
And I laughed at this stat when I seen this, but he is the second quarterback in NFL history with 3,500 yards, 30-plus touchdown passes, and 11 or less interceptions in his first year as a starter. Justin Herbert was the other one in 2020. But then I looked at Mahomes. Mahomes did it, but Mahomes threw 12 interceptions. So,
Okay, all right.
so we're just keeping Mahomes out of it here.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
And his numbers with Rodgers in 2008 were pretty much still identical. So
Yeah.
so it's over 16 games, which is what you gotta use them on, because that's how many Rodgers played. So
Right,
so.
yeah. All right, there we go. Packers, we'll see what happens
And,
Sunday.
and speaking of the Bears, you
Yeah.
talk about the Packers with 34 quarterbacks. So the Bears have never had a quarterback throw for 30 touchdowns in a season in 104 seasons.
That's surprising.
Yeah,
with
'cause-
Sammy Baugh.
And Jim McMahon.
Yeah, you go back to
Yeah,
some of those
yeah,
quarterbacks they did have.
Yeah, I said
Lately, no.
No, yeah. I said you look at. I always figured they always bring up the numbers. How many in the Favre, Rodgers, now Love era? How many quarterbacks have started for the Bears at that time?
Yeah.
And it's just an astronomy.
is.
It's in the 30s.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's just crazy.
And the Packers have had 3.
Yeah. And they've got a formula because it works with Love now. So
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I think it comes down to I think they picked the right quarterbacks.
Well, the Bears. Let's see if they do it right
Yeah,
this
yeah.
year.
But you can't say it's the general manager because
Right, because they had different ones.
yeah, Wolf traded for Favre,
Yeah.
Thompson drafted Rodgers, and Gutekunst drafted
Yeah,
Love. So
right.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I don't know what to think about it. So
Well, Bears got the number 1 pick this year.
yes, they did. Yeah, it was a trade. Yeah,
And
so,
now we'll see.
yeah, Carolina just not looking good. So
Yeah, so we'll see if they go after.
it'll be interesting.
Or they keep Fields or go
there's
after the
people think
quarterback.
they should trade Fields and then of course draft one of the guys coming out of college, but.
And Caleb Williams is, of course, the guy.
Yeah, and I said, well, okay, what are you going to get for Fields with the investment you got into him? Aren't you better off finding another one of the best wide receivers, or get the best offensive or defensive lineman, maybe the best end rusher, whatever?
Because Fields isn't terrible.
No, he's not.
I mean, he's not a guy that's he's not a Daniel Jones.
No, absolutely not. And thing is, this year he got it finally working with DJ Moore. And they have a tremendous
and they have a chance to get Marvin Harrison Jr.
Right, exactly. And Fields knows very well, of course.
Right.
So
Or a top lineman, maybe.
yeah, top
like you
line,
said.
top. Maybe you get the best left tackle coming up. Maybe you get the best edge rusher. Who knows? But
It's not that they need a
yeah,
quarterback.
I think this is the same franchise that traded for Mitchell, traded the franchise to get Mitchell Trubisky a few years ago too. So I don't know. I think Justin Fields has a future in this league, whether it's in Chicago or not.
Right.
So,
Well,
I think if you trade him, you're going to look very stupid because
Well, the talk is he go to Atlanta.
yeah, absolutely, you'll fit in nicely there. So
They got all the pieces
you
already.
betcha. Yeah. So
I don't know.
Yeah, I had a
That's
general
why-
manager. And part of it, I suppose, is selling tickets too. You got to fill those seats up too. So, but
you keep doing what they do, and that's why they have 30 quarterbacks.
yeah,
over the
that's
last
right,
30
exactly.
years.
Yeah, and why no quarterback is throwing for 30 touchdowns. But I don't honestly know.
Keep messing around like that all the time.
It
don't work.
Sometimes it's better if stay with what you got than thinking something else is better, because change is not the best thing.
No.
People should find that out about coaches too.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Sometimes they don't let them go long enough.
No, they don't. So
Well, look at Jordan Love.
yeah, absolutely.
Beginning of the year, they're all talking about, trade him. Well,
Yeah.
we'll get a trap.
Yeah.
Just let him go to the end of the year, and
Yeah.
now look at him.
Yeah. Now he's the toast of the town.
Just wait. Sometimes,
Yeah,
just gotta wait.
And he's it seems like he's a very confident individual. Watching his interview after the game Sunday night, he's
Yeah.
just very
Right.
confident
Yeah.
and very soft spoken, and
Yeah.
so it was
I kind of got that when I talked to him here when he came to
Yeah.
Gross Motors
Yeah.
a few years back.
so Yeah, he's a keeper.
Oh, yeah.
No ifs, ands, or whats
I think
about
he
that,
is.
so-
You
so
bet.
that's all.
All right, what else we got going on here in
College
the world?
basketball Tuesday night, the Badgers defeat Iowa at home, 83-72. Go 2-0 in the Big Ten. Host Nebraska Saturday at 1:15 at the Kohl
You know, I
Center.
watched that game against Iowa there.
Yeah.
They didn't look very good in the beginning.
No, they didn't. But
But I think that was because they had such a long break.
yeah, I think so too. They're up to 21. This AJ Storr, he is the real deal, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yeah, he can play some ball.
Speaking of Iowa, I don't know if you've seen the highlights on ESPN last night, but the Iowa girls
Oh, yes.
played.
Yeah.
And Caitlin Clark, she looks like Steph Curry.
Yeah.
She steps out. She's about 40 feet from the hoop and just drains it.
Drains it.
I said,
Yeah.
I've never seen, and just cool as a cucumber.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a girls basketball player
No,
like that in a
she's-
long time. So
She can shoot with
yeah.
utmost confidence.
Yeah, I said that had to be 40 feet last night. 'cause
Well, it was
she-
from the inside of that. Was about that logo.
It was right on the edge front of the logo.
Yeah,
there, and I
yeah.
figured that. And of course, the NBA 3-pointer is about 24 feet, so she was well beyond that.
You know,
so
if you're Michigan State,
Yeah.
who's the one girl you don't want to have
Yeah,
get the
right.
ball? And they let her get the ball.
yeah. Well, I said, and you go back to the Nielsen Auburndale game the other night.
Right.
The right guy, as far as Nielsen, had the ball. It was not Anderson, and it was not the other big fella.
Right, it was Shull.
It was Stoll, and he hit it.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, and he did it right in front of us too.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, when I was listening on the radio broadcast, the rebroadcast, you could hear the pounding of the ball right down. It wasn't that far away from
and
us.
I swore that ball was going to be short. From our angle, we
Yeah.
had a very good angle. I
Yeah.
thought that ball was going to be short, but poof.
Right in.
And I said, it hurts when it bounces around the rim or banks in. That hurts. This was pure.
Yeah, it was right down the middle.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see what happens here as we head into 2024. But we ended 2023 with a
Bound to bang.
on a bang with a 4 overtime game last Friday. So again, we got girls basketball coming up tonight as Neilsville hosts Colby at the Fieldhouse, and then tomorrow night Owen Withey and Neilsville boys
Yep.
at the Fieldhouse.
That should be a dandy.
Yeah.
I'm not real familiar with what Coach Weiler's got, and he lost a few guys' pieces last year, but he's got them playing well this year. So we'll see.
Both teams 3-1 on the Eastern Chlor Belt. Both games tonight and tomorrow, 7:15 on 92.7 WPKG. Anything else you got for today?
Just not really.
right.
The Bucks lost to Indiana and played Indiana again last night and at San Antonio tonight. So they're going through the Texas Triangle now. So other than that, not a lot going on. It's kind of a really slow. People really didn't jump really back into it. Especially
No.
the teams we cover anyway.
yeah, coming out of the break, it's a little slow start.
And the Nielsen boys, I think, needed the time off too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So and the girls too. And so we'll see. So
Yeah.
but,
Everything will be getting going here again.
yeah, we'll be going nuts here.
Head into January.
Yep. So
That's Two Guys on Sports. I'm Larry Hazer.
I'm Dick Olson.
We'll talk to you next week.